Hello guys and welcome to another video on my channel. In this one I'm going to show you the lap time challenge of the Autodrome Maggiore East, and we are going to be using the road car Citroen GT, as you can see here. 500 horsepower, 1450 kg, reasonably powerful, more like a sports slash supercar. As you can see, the top time is Adam Tapai with a 124.391. My time is good enough third as of the time of recording, which is a 124.523, just over a tenth of Adam Tapai. There is a very good road car user, so I'll take that any day of the week. I messed up a bit on the last corner, but I'll get more into that in the actual detailed lap. But as you can see, the power curve of this car in the ECU section, the power does drop off very late, but you do still want to short shift it. Well, no, you don't want to short shift it, but you don't want to fully rev it out, because you don't want to. Because this car has very good torque in general, it's got quite a lot of power in the lower revs. You don't need to rev this as much as you think you do. As you can see where the red line is, sorry, on the transmission here, the red line is at 8.2k RPM. So I go past the red line a bit, so I usually rev about 8.4k revs, I believe, maybe even less than that, but anyway. Now I'm going to show you my fastest lap, followed by the detailed lap afterwards, so I hope you enjoy that. One more thing, I would appreciate a like and a sub if you find these helpful and enjoyable to watch. I love to do sort of guides for, manufacturer series or daily race or lap time challenge nations whenever that comes as well. I like to do those guides, so I would appreciate your support by giving it a like and a sub, just so that I know that you guys enjoy these sorts of videos. But without further ado, let's get into the fastest lap. Okay guys, so I hope you enjoyed the lap I just shown you. Now I'm going to show you the rough braking points, turning points that I was using to achieve the lap time I just did, which was, from memory, a 124.523. Like I said, I'm happy with that lap. There's a little bit of time left in it, but honestly I'm not going to touch it again, because this combo is pretty difficult to put everything together for one lap. Even though it's relatively a short track, there's a lot of corners, especially corners that lead from one corner to another. But anyway, the keyword for this, in my opinion, is throttle management. The reason I'm saying that is because this car has 500 horsepower, so it's quite a powerful car, especially on any sports medium tyres. Not the most grippy tyre, but also it's got a lot of torque. So especially in the early revs or early to mid revs, the car would want to wheel spin just because of the torque of the car, basically. But anyway, now I'm going to show you what to do. So, to start the lap, from what you'll see, this is the lap one starting point. So, when you press restart, it does the rolling start thing for you. From that animation, I brake just after the 50 board, so probably just after this first arrow board here. And you want to take a very wide line here. I think even if you've got all four wheels of the truck, it won't invalidate it, because it's pretty hard to explain, but for trucks that have multiple combos, so multiple variants of the same truck, if you extend at a point where it rejoins from one track to another, it doesn't invalidate your lap for some reason. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe it's just a game coding where, because it thinks that that part of the track is still being used, it doesn't invalidate your lap, something like that. I'm not sure, to be honest. But anyway, take a wide line. I'd still keep at least 2 wheels inside this white line, just because if you go all 4 wheels over, I think you will get a bit of dirty tyres and you will break traction easily. So I'd still keep 2 wheels inside this white line, as you can see on my screen here. But basically, as soon as I get to this white line here, that's when you'll see me start to put a bit of throttle down. Not 100% throttle, because, like I said earlier, a lot of torque, so you need to throttle manage a bit. So you'll see me play around with the throttle anyway. And then as soon as I felt my car was stable and in a straight line, that's when you'll see me put the power down. So I'm shifting this about, to start the lap, I'm shifting it about 8.1k revs, so where the red line was, like I said in the beginning of the video, just to get that absolute max power. And since you're not, the time doesn't matter going to the finishing line, you want to shift basically at the peak power point, so you're going to start as high speed as possible. I don't really know how to explain it, but that's just the fastest way to do it, at least from what I found. So first corner, see this little the second like Maggiore sign, like a brake marker sort of, so like the 100-meter sign, for example, it's the second Maggiore sign from that board. I'm literally braking on the shadow of it, so at the end of the shadow here, that is my braking reference for turn 1. So there you go, my ABS light has just come on. I'm just going past it now. That is my braking reference for turn 1 here. So I'm going to be braking a straight line. As soon as I go down to, I think it was second gear, I'll start to turn left. And you want to engine brake quite a bit. It's got quite a long first gear, so you can downshift to first quite early. And you're aiming to be about 56, 57 mile an hour by the time you get to the apex here. I'm going to pause it on the apex here. So basically, if you're going to have you don't want your left wheels to touch the grass, because it will suffer a bump. So it'll kick you a bit wide basically, and it won't open up the angle for the next corner. So you basically want to have it pretty much like that. As long as your left wheels is on this bit, you'll be fine. I think you won't really suffer from a bump. But as soon as it touches the grass, yeah, it'll bump you a bit to the outside, so you'll lose time there. Like I said, aim for about 56 mile an hour range. Next corner, I upshift second briefly, just because of traction. And the next braking marker while I'm at it is I use the end of this little right bit from the track advertisement part. I use the end of the right bit here as my braking reference. When I say braking reference, I mean I'm using that to brake, but I'm not going to be braking much from that point. I'm only going to be braking for about half a second, and it's only going to be very lightly, about 40-50% from memory. But I'm going to be braking a straight line. As soon as I feel my car slowing down, I'm going to be turning into the hairpin, and you're going to be aim to have your right wheels all over the yellow part of the inside curb. I was aiming to be about 40 mile an hour here, and by the time I got about halfway around this hairpin, I put about 40% throttle in, just to gradually pick up the speed while not breaking traction. As soon as I'm getting towards the exit and straight lining towards the outside of the track, you'll see me put the power down. You may suffer a bit of oversteer, but so just be just get ready to react to that little oversteer / slide. So you have enough time to react to it, and you won't be off the track, and you won't lose much time with the oversteer. Next corner, try to have your right wheels on this bit. I felt if I was to go ride it, it drifted me a bit from the next corner, so I recommend just having your right wheels on this right line. And my next braking marker, and when I say braking marker, I mean very light braking marker. Sorry, I did not mean to change view. See this right line? I broke like a couple meters after it, so about here. I've just started to lift off now, so any second now you'll see me brake. Actually, do I even brake? I don't even know if I brake. I lift off the throttle anyway, and I downshift to second. I'm aiming to be about 83 miles an hour. Yeah, I don't brake. I just downshift and lift off. Let the engine brake and slow your car down. Sorry, I misremembered there, but yeah. Engine brake down to second. As soon as you start to lift off, the car will slow down quite quickly, and try to aim your left wheels to be on this like little grey part of the curb, so that your wheels get hooked onto this red and white part of the curb, so it helps your car turn into the actual corner more. There's more grip there since it hooks you on the corner, and you want to aim to be about 82, 83 miles an hour for that part of the corner. As soon as I hit this bump here, let me just go into race photos quickly. So there's this little bump as you leave this bit here, right here, to be exact. As soon as you hit that part of a bump, play the throttle bit about 40% forward, as you can see on my screen currently, and gradually keep it around that throttle all the way until the braking point of the next corner, just to, again, similar to between the first and second corner, gradually pick up the speed without braking traction and suffering too much from the bump of the weight distribution, since this car has a lot of weight in the rear especially, so it will suffer from bumps a bit. Anyway, next corner, I'm not going to force it out the braking method straight away because it'll be very hard to see it, but I basically broke about a car length after I went past this little Marshall building here. Hold up, I'm going to pause whereabouts I brake. So I've gone past that bit now, and I've just started to lift off and brake here. So as you can see, I'm not actually past it, but with my camera angle, with a bumper view, I'm braking what feels like a car length after I've gone past the Marshall post on the right side here. So I'm going to be braking a straight line, and as soon as I go down to second, I'm going to turn it in, and I'm going to even downshift to first just to get a bit more engine braking, and I'm going to be aiming to be about 60 or 61 miles an hour as I get to the apex of the corner. And because the entry is quite wide, especially with a lot of curbs on the exit that you want to be using, you want to be on the throttle extremely early in third gear. Again, try to have your right wheels go between the orange and the red and white part of the curb, just to get a bit more hookage, but that is extremely difficult, and if you were to miss it, don't touch it orange because it'll just understeer you off the track. You may have a little slider to put the throttle down as well, so just be ready to react to it. And I'll pause here again. Very dodgy this corner. Not dodgy, but very like iffy with track limits. So basically, as long as your right wheel's on the curb, it's fine. But remember, in between here and here, there's a bit of grass. So you want to aim your right wheels to basically be on this part of the curb here, without touching that part of the curb here. Because if it was to touch that part of the curb, you're most likely going to have your right wheels touch this part of the grass, and it will invalidate your lap. So just be careful of that. So first sector here was a 30.6. That was actually the best first sector I did by a couple hundredths. So I was pretty happy with this sector. Next corner, be as far to the left as possible, but before you brake, you're going to see me start to turn in now. And my brake reference for this is basically where the green part of this barrier ends here, and the beginning of the red part of the barrier is. That is my braking reference for this corner. So I've just started braking now. As you can see, my ABS light showing and me lifting off. I'm going to be braking in a straight line. So basically, I'm going to brake in a straight line. I'm going to aim to get to the outside. And by the time I get to the outside here, my car will have slowed down enough that I don't understeer too much and hit the grass. It will also be the point where the car will actually turn it into the corner and I'll still make the apex. So I'm going to pause here. It's, as you can see, I downshift second. I put a bit more brake input down since I wasn't going to understeer off the truck, so I could slow down the car more and get it rotated into the corner. You want to try and aim to have your right wheels touch between the orange and the red and white curb again, just to try and get it a bit hooked around the corner. I'm aiming to be about 63 miles an hour by the time I get to the apex. Upshift to third here, just because of traction. And gradually pick up the speed. Initially, I'm going to be about 60-70% throttle, just so I can pick up the speed without breaking traction. But as soon as I feel like my car has stabilized, you'll see me go 100% throttle. But again, when you go 100% throttle, just be prepared to counter steer in case you get a little bit of oversteer. I don't remember if I did on this particular lap, but I did on many laps. Minimize track distance here as well, so try and touch this right curb, but if you feel like you're about to break traction, just try and keep your steering minimalized. Next corner, and we're coming on to a difficult part of the track now. So I basically brake when I hit the red part of this curb here, the first red part, and you're going to see me quite aggressively downshift to second to slow the car down quite quickly. And you're going to see me cutting a lot of it inside of this next corner as well. So I'm going to pause when I get to the corner. But all I'm going to be saying is that I'm going to be downshifting second quite early. I'm initially going to be 100% on the brakes, but quite quickly I'm going to be starting to trail brake. And I'm going to be aiming to be about 81 or 82 miles an hour as I get to the first part of the apex. Right, so I'm going to pause it here. And I'm going to go to race photos quickly. So initially, you want to aim to have your right tires as close to inside of the curb as possible without touching the grass. But by the time the car's rotated into the corner, you're going to aim to have your right wheels touch this part of the track here, where you see like the right part over the grass. That won't invalidate your lap because it's still technically part of a curb, according to the game anyway. So you basically want to have your right wheels touch this part of the track here if possible, just to minimize distance and try to get your car rotated into the corner a bit more. And plus it opened the next part of the corner quite well, so you can maybe be on the throttle slightly earlier. But from this point on, you're going to see me put the throttle on very quickly, but about 60-70% throttle input again, just so I don't have too much wheel spin. And also, you see, as soon as I get to the next part of the corner, you'll see me upshift to fourth, just to stabilize the car and not have too much power going over the curb, but I'll slide. So right here, I started to slide, so I upshifted to fourth, but again, try to aim to have your left wheels touch this part of the curb here, where you see my mouse, and I'm going to play it here. I was about 80% throttle for most of that, just to keep it stabilized. If you went 100% throttle, it would still oversteer a bit. So basically what I'm trying to say is don't go 100% throttle, otherwise you'll oversteer, and it will cost you this part of the corner and the next part of the corner. So since if you were to be 100% throttle, and you weren't at the right angle, you'd go over this part of the curb, and it'll bounce you a bit, at least on the controller it does. I'm not sure about real users, but on the controller at least, with the sticks, if you were to be 100% throttle and you were to slide a bit, it will bounce you a bit. So don't be 100% throttle here. But basically, as soon as I get to the end of this curb, I'm going to keep it on the throttle, but I'm also going to upshift to fifth to, again, keep it stable and just to gradually pick up the speed. Sorry, let me rephrase. So I'm actually going to play it back and go forward again, because it's quite hard to describe what I'm doing here. So basically, I get onto this curb, go up to fourth, I keep it 80% throttle as I go over this curb. I still keep it 80% throttle. I may lower it a bit as I turn in, just so I don't oversteer while turning. There you go. I lifted as soon as I started to turn left. and as soon as I get onto this curb, I upshift to 5th because it will stabilise the car more, and then I can pick up a bit more throttle on this corner on the exit here. You want to be on the throttle quite early on this corner because again, it's quite wide on the exit. So you want to go on it. You want to basically go in, then out, then back in. 5th gear is the best way of doing it because if you're going 4th, you will oversteer. Again, as you see initially, 60-70% throttle, but as soon as I get halfway through the corner, I'm 100% throttle. And one more thing, again, get ready to react to the car side. Here, cut as much as possible. As long as your right wheel touches the orange part of the curb, you'll be alright. But basically, try to aim to have your tyres be either on this side of the orange curb or this side of the orange curb, just so that it doesn't bounce too much if you have your right wheels go on this part of the curb and unsettle the car. Very light steering, otherwise it'll oversteer. Last corner, and this is the corner I unfortunately messed up a bit on, but basically my braking reference is halfway between this arrow board and the 100 board. I brake halfway between the two. I'm going to be turning in early into the corner just so that I don't feel that I understeer too much as I start to turn in. If I started to turn in a bit later, I felt I understeered a bit and missed the apex. So what I did is I turned early and hit the inside apex instead. And I may slow down the car a bit more than usual, but it's just to get me around the corner because I turned in earlier. And plus I'm minimising distance doing that as well. I forgot to mention, by the way, so that corner I was aiming for about 82 mile an hour. As I got to this bit, I was aiming to be about 95 mile an hour, and as I got to the last bit, I was aiming to be about 105, 106, 107 mile an hour, depending on how you did the previous corner though. Try to aim for 107, but if you feel like you're not using the maximum track width for the previous corner, go 105 and be safe. But like I said, brake halfway between these two boards, and I'm going to be slowing down to about 40 mile an hour. So brake about here. As you can see, my ABS light is showing and I'm starting to lift off. I'm braking halfway between two. I felt I broke a touch early here though, so maybe brake about where I am now instead of, I probably broke about a tenth earlier than what I'm showing now. Brake about here. I did turn in slightly too late unfortunately, but basically what you want is you want your right wheels to be on this curb here, which hopefully hooks you around a bit and stabilises your car as well. Like I said, aim to be about 40 or 41 mile an hour on this corner. Be a bit careful on the throttle on the exit as well, so initially about 60%, but as soon as you feel like your car will straighten towards the exit, go 100% throttle. Go a bit to the right just to minimise track distance. And there you go, a 124.523. Good lap. I'm quite happy with it. A 10th in it in the last corner potentially, but I'm happy with that lap. And now I'm going to show you how to see a replay of this lap and how to load a ghost my lap. But before we do that, I'm going to actually do something different. I'm going to quickly go around the lap again. Very quickly, I'm just going to point out the braking reference and play it again, okay? So, first corner, I brake here on the shadow, aiming to be about 57 mile an hour for the first corner. Using the inside curb. Second corner, I broke just before the end of this right part of the advertisement track part, and I'm going to be aiming to be about 40 mile an hour. Try go all over the inside curb as possible, just to minimise track distance. Play around with the throttle until you feel it stabilised, then go 100% throttle. Here, go to the right line. I lift off, downshift to second aggressively. Just after the right line goes across my screen, I lift off just after that. Try to get your left two wheels hooked onto the inside curb. Aim to be about 83 mile an hour. Be about 60% throttle as you go over the bump, and from here on until the braking point from the next corner, just to not break traction. By this point, you'll be about 95 mile an hour from memory. You'll want to be braking at a car length after the marshal post on the right hand side. Downshift to first just to get more rotation, and again try to get hooked onto the curb and aim to be about 60 mile an hour, and you'll exit in third gear. Try to be 100% throttle as soon as possible, but again be ready to counter steer. Next corner, brake between the red and the green part of the barrier, the second one, not the first one. Turn a bit early, brake in a straight line. As soon as you get close to the outside, you'll then start to feel that your car will rotate into the corner. Aim to be about 63 mph here. Pick up the throttle gradually, then put 100% throttle down as soon as you feel the car has stabilised. Next corner, brake first part of the red part of the curb here, slow down and quickly downshift to second, be about 82 mph for the first apex. Pick up the throttle gently, aim to have your left wheels go all over this inside curb, be about 95 mph as you get to this point. Again, gradually pick up the speed. As soon as you get to this part of the curb, upshift to fifth, aim to be about 105, 106, 170 mph by this point here. Then go and play around with the throttle a bit, and then go 100% throttle. Cut this part of the track just to open up the next part of the corner with as minimal steering as possible so you don't get oversteer. Last corner, brake half a car length, I'd say, before the 100 board, or maybe even a car length before the 100 board. Brake aggressively, turn early, so you hit the inside curb, aim to be about 40-41 mph, play around with the throttle. As soon as you feel it stabilises, pick up the throttle, and that is a lap guide around this track. Now I'm going to show you how to access this event and 2 ways to see my replay and load the ghost off my lap. So I'll see you then now. Well guys, one way to see my replay is you get showcased in the bottom left of the home section. Go to content search, make sure you go to replays and type in, probably the best way to see my replay is my name, which is Calster obviously. And if you've got the car, click it and then you'll easily be able to see that this is the replay that I was showing. To get to the event, and another way to see my replay is you go to sport mode in the top right of the home section. And then you need to go to the online time trials. Since it's the first week, it'll be on the left hand side. Second week, it'll move to the right hand side. And as you can see, my name is on the leaderboard. And you shouldn't have to scroll down too much. By the end, I should be top 30, hopefully. So you'll easily be able to find my name. You can play my replay there. And make sure you're in the car. And if you need sports mediums, just buy it and then equip it here. Enter the event. That's how you get into the event. And to load a ghost to my replay, again you go to ranking board, go to my name, click on load ghost, and then you can play around with the ghost settings over here. So if you want it to reset after each sector, you'd have this on. And I'd personally have it start 2 to 3 attempts ahead of you, just so you can react to what I'm doing. I kind of follow my ghost, but also if you were to have my ghost on, I'd personally have this off and this on, just so you don't get distracted following 2 ghosts. But anyway, that is the lap guide for Autodromo Lago Maggiore East in this road car Citroen by GT. Quite enjoyable combo, very oversteery, so just be careful with the throttle, like I said earlier in the video. I would appreciate a like and a sub as well if you enjoyed and found this helpful. Any questions, leave them in the comments below. I'll answer to the best of my ability as always. But without further ado, I will end the video now and stay tuned. Tomorrow I will post the track guide for the last round of the exhibition manufacturer season, which is at Deep Forest in Group 3 with setup. Not sure what I'm doing with setup yet because I'm not really good with setup, so I'll play around with that and hopefully I can get a guide out for you by tomorrow. But it might take me a while, so stay tuned. And I'll see you later. Au revoir.